What's up, my beautiful people? Hope you're having a wonderful day. Exile451 here with yet another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Gonna break away from the usual subs today and go back to r/AskReddit for a post that I think is gonna really hit home and inspire a lot of you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Alright, well I did this one once before, but you guys really seemed to enjoy it then, so I thought it was worth circling back around to. The Ask Reddit question was, anyone start over in life and become successful? What's your story? I was a fairly rebellious kid growing up. Most of my friends, while great people, were probably not the best influences over the long haul. We had a lot of fun, but partied a lot and took a lot of drugs. School was low priority for me, and I attended a continuation school for high school and took a couple classes at community college before dropping out. I was a C student at best, and received my fair share of D's and F's. After dropping out of college, I basically floated for 10 years or so. I worked a bunch of crap jobs and lived hand to mouth most of the time. During this period, I continued to use drugs. I smoked pot every day and attended a bunch of raves on weekends, which often included either a dose of acid, ecstasy, or sometimes both. This was great fun for many years, but over time it took its toll. I found myself having difficulty putting sentences together sometimes, even when I was sober. I became very self-conscious talking to people and felt inadequate. I was also beginning to struggle seriously with depression. I had extreme mood swings that damaged a lot of my relationships, and my life started to spiral out of control. At about 28, I got involved in a terrible relationship, which ended in me essentially having a nervous breakdown after a suicide attempt. This period was both the crappiest and maybe the most life-transforming part of my life. I moved back home, went to counseling, and started on antidepressants. I felt super crappy about myself, and I felt like I disgraced myself with the nervous breakdown. I also lost a lot of my friends, and parts of my family were starting to turn away from me. It was awful. Over the course of a few months, I began to recognize how much I needed to change. Over the next year, I focused on mental health. I continued with counseling, which helped a lot. Honestly, I was resentful at first about having to talk to someone about my problems, but after a few weeks, I began to feel a lot better about it. I also exercised a lot, which made me feel a lot better physically. I pretty much did this alone, with a little encouragement from my mom. It was an extremely lonely period for me, and while working on it, I continued to have bouts of depression. In time, I started back up at a community college. This period was also very transformational for me. I began to enjoy learning, made a lot of new friends, and felt good about all the small accomplishments. My GPA became dramatically improved over my high school record. Despite this, school was not easy. A small part of me was interested in majoring in architecture or engineering. Obviously, these were technical fields that would need a fair amount of math and science, neither of which I got at my continuation school. I assessed into basic algebra and had a lot of semesters ahead of me if I wanted to get anywhere close to what I wanted. It seemed like an impossible goal, but I don't know. I just kept my head down and knocked out classes one by one. The small achievements felt really good and kept me going. The other difficult part about school was funding. Getting help from my parents was out of the question. I was getting into my late 20s by this time, and given my history, I don't think my parents had a lot of trust in me. So I ended up having to put myself through school on my own. This was mostly done with crappy part-time work while at community college, and later with loans. In my early 30s, I managed to acquire enough units to transfer to a UC school. I was on a civil engineering track by this time and still doing well. I achieved dean's listings multiple times and was involved with a couple different honor societies. University level work was even harder, and the loans really began to pile up here. But I was also seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and I was where I wanted to be. I finished in 2008. The job market was super dismal then, but I managed to find a job right out of school. 2 years later, I had acquired my professional engineer's license, and 3 years later, I had my loans paid off. My life is different now, but overall, much better. My job affords me great financial stability. I maintain very low expenses, eating at home, very few luxury items, so I'm able to keep a lot in savings. I also spend my free time hiking or backpacking now, which is great for physical exercise and helps me relax in positive ways. I've slowly picked up a lot of new friends who are great influences in my life. I still have days where life seems a little rough, but who doesn't? Either way, starting over in life is very doable. I know from experience. Not sure if this counts, but I was kind of very successful vice president in a merchant bank and was pretty sure I'd make director in the next year or so. I was already pretty much a self-made man. I come from a poor part of London, have no formal education, so the fact I had that position was already amazing to me. When the recession happened, I was one of many people made redundant at short notice. At first, I thought I would get a job easy. I had a great CV, great experience, and great references. Sadly, though, it turned out that nobody in my field was hiring, and they didn't start again for nearly a year. For a while, I was okay. I'd had a good payout and already had a bunch in savings. However, I wasn't prepared for it to take 5 years to get back to full-time employment. During that time, I had depleted all my savings, lost my credit rating, ended up massively in debt, but had just managed to cling on to my house. I paid everyone a tiny something each month to stop myself ending up in court. Anyway, during that time, I did any work I could find. Garden, house clearance, painting and decorating, crap shoveling. All the while, I was frantically applying for jobs and dealing with the unemployment benefits people, whose job seems to be to make your life a misery. In the end, after 5 years of searching and just when I'd given up all hope, I got a call from a company. Someone who I'd done a favor for several years previously had recommended me for a job, and they were interested enough to meet me. I was hired immediately and went from a position where I was earning 20 to 50 pounds a day for odd jobs to earning 300 pounds a day every day. Fast forward 18 months, I was asked to take on a management position, which has now grown to the point where I run most of the company. Am I happy? Oh yes, and quite rich. Edit. Some interesting comments. To anyone stuck in the unemployment benefit trap, and it is a trap for anyone thinking it's an easy ride, the only advice I can give you is it can get better. I just did any work I could to keep some money coming in and tried to take any chance that came my way. To those asking about work or wondering what I did to get $300 a day, I work in IT, and to be honest, my rate before the recession would have been closer to $500 a day. If you have good skills and are willing to move around for work, you can earn that easy, and a lot more. And no, you don't have to get peed on to do it. In fact, it can be a great life, apart from doing all your own tax paperwork. But you have accountants for that. And no, sorry, I'm not hiring. I wish I was. I could do with the extra hands. If we win any new contracts, which means I can expand, I'll post a message. Oh, and to people messaging me saying my story is BS or it doesn't add up, I won't bother to go into more detail. Instead, I suggest you close the computer, go outside for a while, and get some sun on your face. None of this matters in your life, and if you think it does, you have a problem, my friend. Well put. Too many people online are so eager to tear other people's success stories apart because they can't hit that same level of success themselves. Very well put. I hated college when I was younger. I ended up changing majors a lot and finally settled on a 1-year automotive tech degree. I was really into cars then. I got a job in Raleigh, North Carolina, lived in Raleigh/Apex my whole life, and started turning wrenches. I was a mechanic for about 8 years, and over that time, I started to realize I didn't want to do this forever. The pay wasn't stable, and the work became monotonous to me, among other things. In 2008, when the economy tanked, the work really dried up. After getting a 38-hour paycheck, mechanics are on flat rate time, one paycheck, bi-weekly, I decided that now was the time to go back to college. I was 26 at the time and had some money saved. I decided to do something that was interesting, challenging, and of course, paid well. I chose electrical engineering. Go big or go home, right? I applied to UNC Charlotte and was accepted for the upcoming semester. I uprooted myself and moved from Raleigh to Charlotte, leaving everything behind. All my friends, my family, everything I had known for 27 years. I had just one friend/person I knew in Charlotte. Granted, Charlotte is only 3 hours from Raleigh, but that doesn't change the fact. The next 4 years were filled with endless nights on campus, especially senior year. Good grief. Studying at home and a general lack of social life outside school. I survived off student loans and grants, Pell, UNC, lottery. Then I got an engineering internship my junior year, which helped a lot. In May of 2013, I graduated with a BS in electrical engineering and a minor in math. I already had that engineering internship, which lasted until July. I started my current engineering job that August, and here we are today. If you had asked young me if I would have ever done anything with math when I was younger, I would have died laughing. Going from a mechanic to an electrical engineer was never in my plans. But I'm so glad I made the choice to do it. It's never too late. Well, those are just 3 short stories that prove that it really doesn't matter where you are in life. No matter how old you are, you truly can restart if you need to. There's nothing that's going to hold you back except for your own doubts and self-consciousness. You can do whatever you put your mind to. It can work out for you. It will work out for you if you're willing to try. Believe in yourself. As cheesy and as cliche as it might sound, as long as you believe in yourself, you can do anything that you want. That was r/AskReddit, and if you want more funny or uplifting AskReddit content, then feel free to check out the playlist link in the description. Also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you can always get your daily dose of Reddit happy. Now you guys go out there, have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.